Don't shake your body, baby, do that conga. No, you can't control yourself any longer.
As a beginning project, I would recommend doing like a tote bag or an apron, which would use something like cotton. Reason being is it's just like a good way to get familiar with the sewing machine, get familiar with like doing corners, pockets, like this kind of thing, without the intense stuff like installing a zip. To start this project, I would recommend cotton. And the reason is because it's not slippery and it's not stretchy, which means it just glides through your machine nicely. Other things you could use is probably muslin or like light denim, like thin denim. Denim. No. What's important about these fabrics is the grain. So if you can see here, the grain goes up and down about the weave, and I'm going to do a series about fabric composition. When you're following a pattern, sometimes it will say like the grain line, and it will have like an arrow, and it basically means like which direction the grain line is going in. See, it's going up and down. The reason for this is it just falls nicer on the body when the grain is not going against you and it's going with you. What I've also seen is cutting on the bias. Cutting on the bias is cutting diagonally across the fabric, so at a 45-degree angle from the grain. The reason is, if you can see that doesn't really stretch, and then that doesn't really stretch, but when it's diagonal, it stretches. Grain will go up and down, and that's good for like a stiff dress. But for a dress that you want it to kind of pull nicely and hug the body nicely, you want to do it on the bias. Fabrics to avoid when you're just starting out is probably things like chiffon and organza, because they're lightweight, slippery, kind of hard to manage, high maintenance. And then heavier fabrics like heavy denim, leather, canvas, upholstery, just rough, tough stuff. Also avoid stretchy, like, you know, spandex, jersey, that kind of thing. These are all difficult fabrics to deal with. The medium weight, nice to manage fabrics are things like light denim, linen, cotton, poplin, is that what it's called, and you will be safe. A little bit of advice: if you're dealing with fabric with a shine, this applies to any fabric, but more so with the shine because it's more noticeable. And I've done it wrong here, but this was an upcycle, so I didn't have the luxury of using whatever part of fabric I wanted. For example, velvet, based on which way you cut it is how the light's going to shine on it. So if you cut it grainways this way and then grainways that way, you can see that like the light shines differently on it, and then like in photos and stuff, like one patch is like randomly darker than the other patch. You have to cut it all the same way, otherwise the light is gonna reveal your sins. Threads, I would go for all-purpose polyester thread because it's good for most stuff. If you are using natural fabrics like cotton or linen, like, you can use natural thread as well. It's probably better to do that, just it's all recyclable. There are different kinds of threads as well, like you get stretchy thread and wax covered thread that's a bit stronger, but like honestly, at the moment, don't bother. Start out, all-purpose polyester is your safest bet, in the sense of like it goes with most things.